This guy is a lonely loser stuck in a boring routine until a magic disaster wipes out his town and takes the life of his childhood crush. But when a hot mage shows up and drags him into a secret academy, he becomes powerful and claps all of the busty mages.
A young boy named Arata woke up and found himself in the middle of the darkness, and behind him appeared a ghost of a person running towards him and begging for help, and it turned out to be a girl. So he got up and ran towards her to get closer to her, and when he was about to hold her hand, he woke up from his dream and found himself holding the breasts of Hijiri, his cousin, who did not hesitate to smash his big head. After that, they sat down to breakfast together, and Arata noticed that she was still angry. Then he looked at a small drawing on the wall and remembered that she was young when she first drew it for them. She was embarrassed that he still had the drawing and was about to remove it, but he told her that he had saved it on his phone. After finishing breakfast, Arata noticed that the sun looked like a black hole in the sky, but because he was stupid, he didn't pay much attention to it and didn't notice that a mysterious girl passed by him while he was looking at the sky. When he turned toward her, there was no one there. Throughout the day, Arata continued to stare at the suspicious-looking sun through the window and think about what happened earlier as if he was the only one noticing it. In the middle of the day, Arata sat alone on the roof, and Hijiri joined him after noticing his wandering. He asked her if the sun always shines black, and she assured him that the sun was black when he was born and before he was born, and that this is the nature of the world he wished for and now lives in. While she was talking, he momentarily suspected that something was wrong with her, so he started asking her for detailed information about him, like his birthday, his favorite food, and where he hides his pornographic magazines. When he asked her about the color of the sun again, and she answered black, he took out his phone and asked how she could paint the sun red if it was black when they were born. The Hijiri impersonator realizes that he's been found out and admires his intelligence, then is surprised by an attack that almost hits her, but she dodges it through a protective barrier and finds that it's the mysterious girl he met on his way to school named Lilith. When he wonders why she's chasing him around, she tells him that she specializes in fighting witches, and when Hijiri realizes that he has no idea what's going on, she snaps her fingers to show him what the world he's living in looks like, which is filled with ruins and destruction. Lilith tells him that all of this happened 3 days ago and that an unknown gravitational fluctuation of unknown origin was detected on a large scale in this particular area and was called the collapse phenomenon, as the entire city was swallowed by the earthquake's gravitational pull. Arata began to feel a painful headache until he remembered the first appearance of the black sun that swallowed all humans into its darkness, at which time Hijiri gave him a small booklet and asked him to save another copy of it and fulfill her wishes, and began to recommend him to live a normal life after her departure. Before she was swallowed by the blackness of the sun, she kissed him and asked him not to forget her, and after some time he ended up in the darkness of the sun after it swallowed him and did not find anyone nearby, so he took out the booklet and asked him to return everything to normal as it was, and when his wish was fulfilled, he woke up this morning without any memory of what happened. Arata realizes that he created this world because of his wish. Lilith tells him that her academy sent her to investigate the collapse phenomenon, and she soon discovered the city where there shouldn't be anything. She tells him that he has a dangerous book in his hand, and if he makes a mistake, it will cause the collapse to spread, and he will be able to create another world. She then pointed her gun at him and asked him to make a decision about this world, and promised him that if he made this world disappear completely, he would be able to live his life in peace. His memories of Hijiri and everyone he knew would be erased, and the cursed magic book would be disposed of, but she wouldn't hesitate to end his life immediately if he refused. Arata has a sudden fit of laughter at the irony of having to forget everything if he wants to live. He wonders what happened to Hijiri, and Hijiri's clone tells him that she is still alive and her form is just a reflection of her in space-time. Arata decides that he will not hand over the magic book to Lilith and at the same time not die, and chooses to learn magic. Lilith is shocked by his decision and tells him that such a thing has never happened before, so he tells her that since he has a magic book, it means he can become a magician, and the proof is that he was able to create a whole world from nothing. The next day he went to the Royal Biblia Academy, a hidden academy for teaching magic, and was greeted by Lilith, who took him to his class and asked him to treat everyone properly, and when he entered the class, he introduced himself to his classmates. Then one of the girls named Selena raised her hand to ask him if the rumors were true about him creating a whole new world on his own, and then he wondered that it was not normal for them, while his classmates began to cheer for him after they had a candidate for the position of Demon King with his ability. Over time, news spread among all the students of the academy about the newly transferred student who has the ability to compete with Demon Kings, and when the news reached Principal Biblia, he was impressed by Arata's ability to draw attention to him from day one and officially welcomed him as a student at the academy. When Arata asks if he can get Hijiri back by joining the academy, Biblia tells him that he's not sure about it, but that it will be up to him in the end. Then he added that the academy has 7 students who are like the main characters in a video game, and they are called the members of the 7 Triad, which are 7 elite witches, and Lilith is one of the 7 witches, and told him that if he can meet the 7 witches and gain their trust, he will be able to learn magic in a short time. After they left the principal principal's office, Lilith asked him not to take his words seriously, and as they were walking, Arata noticed something strange in the ceiling of the hallway, and that's when a girl named Levi, who was hiding upstairs and could be considered the female version of Levi Ackerman, appeared in front of him. Then she stood in front of him and introduced herself and told him that she was a ninja practitioner. Upon learning that she was one of the 7 witches, he wondered where the others were. She looked through the window and told him that 2 of them were outside, Ekio and Mira. When he asks why the elite witches are only girls, Levi tells him that girls are better suited to learn magic because they have the passion that qualifies them to learn magic. He thinks that by passion, she means being free to express one's desires, and Lilith blushes and hits him before quickly leaving. Arata marveled at her behavior, but Levi told him that it was the first time he had seen her behave this way, as she always seems to be ice cold, which means that there is something special about him that makes her behave differently around him. In the evening, Arata sat in his room after a long day, and when he looked for his magic book, he found it appearing out of nowhere on his chest. Then he was surprised that the book had the ability to communicate with him and suggested that he take a shower to have a little relaxation. When Arata undresses and enters the bathroom, he finds a copy of Hijiri inside. Standing naked and knowing that it was made by the magic book, he continues on his way and sits quietly in the shower, and when he puts liquid in his hair, she approaches him and tells him to use the right shower gel. After seeing her naked up close, he rushes out of the room without any clothes on and runs into Lilith on the way. When he tells her, she tells him that he just met Erin, one of the 7 witches, and she looks a lot like Hijiri. Then she entered the bathroom and started scolding Erin for entering the men's room, but she didn't care about it. Then Arata talked to his book, who told him that Erin may look like Hijiri, but what is inside her is different. He said that he feels that they are connected to each other in some way, and he feels that the 7 witches will be of great help to him in his mission. The next day, while Lilith was explaining the lesson to the students, Arata felt uncomfortable with Erin's constant suspicious glances towards him, and she continued to stare at him throughout the day and followed him everywhere he went, until she even entered the men's room with him. He felt embarrassed and yelled at her that she couldn't go in with him while he was relieving himself. In the evening, he asked her why she was following him all day, and she told him that she was curious to observe the inevitable candidate for Demon King, and that she intended to watch him all the time until she became his wife, and then left without waiting for his response. When he returned to his room, he found Lilith, Levi, and Selena waiting for him. When he asked why they were there, they each told him a different reason. Selena then asked him to let her interview him as the next Demon King, and started asking him about his personal qualities, likes, and dislikes. Then it occurred to him to learn a little about magic from them since they were in his room, and Levi and Selena began to have perverted thoughts about Lilith teaching him all about magic in a special way, which infuriated her. Then Arata asked her about the book in his possession, and she told him that it was a book known as Estelle, a legendary magic book that is rumored to contain information about other worlds, and he felt that he must preserve this book since it is the reason he joined the academy and his only clue to find Hijiri. While they were talking, the entire academy suddenly lost power, and they all ended up falling on top of each other, and when the book turned on some light to see their surroundings, Lilith slapped Arata after she found him holding her breast. Then they found that they were trapped inside the room with no way out after the door handle disappeared for some reason, and when he asked the book where they were, it told him that they were inside a barrier that was a miniature version of the world he had created. Lilith speculates that the barrier may have interrupted the space-time they are in, and the writers suggest they think of it as a game to test their ability to find an exit. Arata asks if he already knows the way out, but he doesn't answer him directly and says that with a little research it won't take long for them to figure it out. The book decides to take a nap until they succeed in finding a way out. Arata begins to try traditional solutions to get out by breaking windows or smashing the door, but to no avail, and Livy guesses that whoever is trapping them may be after him. Arata found that the issue would be proving that he had no power. He guessed the identity of his captor and wanted to challenge him, but decided to pretend to search until something changed. After some time, he thought about giving up and getting some rest, but Selena tells him that they can't sleep until they get through the barrier, especially since there's no bathroom in the room, and they're surprised to find that Lilith needs to use the bathroom and can't move, but she pretends to be fine. They decide to intensify their efforts to find a way out quickly and ask her to hold on, but Lovey soon expresses the urge to urinate as well, so she decides to hypnotize them and herself to avoid the feeling of peeing. Arata ended up looking for the exit alone, so he decided to give up and ask for the book's help. When he found that he was still asleep, they all realized that there was something suspicious under the bed that was their way out, and when the witches used their abilities to detect magic and its heroes, they succeeded in getting out of the barrier and back to the real world, and the book was impressed by Arata's quick wit and eager to know what kind of magic he would choose. Erin interrupts him and tells him that the magic he chooses will require him to spend the rest of his life studying and researching it, and through research, he will be able to turn his magic into spells. At her sudden appearance, Arata realized that she was the one who had locked them inside the barrier and thanked her from the bottom of his heart for giving him the opportunity to watch 3 hot girls struggling to go to the bathroom, and when she saw that he was aroused, she suggested that she lift her skirt for him him, but he was embarrassed and refused. The book made fun of him because he always ends up playing the straight man in front of her. He admitted that he feels awkward when he's with her because she looks like Hijiri. Harem approached the book to take a look at it and told her that he didn't have a name yet, so he picked it up and examined it for a while. Then RIZZ asked her why the barrier was placed in his room, and she replied that he was a candidate for the position of Demon King according to the director. And as soon as she mentioned the director's name, they were surprised to see him break into the place by jumping through the window like a superhero who came to save someone and ended up lying on the ground after they left him and continued on their way. They meet Lilith, who is surprised that their detention was Aaron's doing. She tells her that she didn't mean to detain the girls but got bored waiting for them to leave, and adds that Biblia told her to put him in a difficult situation to see if he can cause another meltdown. He decided to go find the principal and teach him a lesson, but Lilith told him that she had tied him up and left him in the incinerator. Harem then approached RIZZ and put her hand against his, and they were surprised when her aura changed and she turned into a witch and used her special ability to search Era's archives. Then she told them that her special ability is called Destruction, which gives her the ability to break the shackles of his book and prevent him from using magic to deliberately put his power out of control and see if he can hold out while RIZZ was in pain and resisting his magic. And soon the academy began to plunge into the phenomenon of collapse. Meanwhile, Levi and Selena noticed a black sun appearing outside and magic began to flow out of RIZZ's body in the form of wings. Harem didn't expect his magic to be so powerful until Lilith decided to stop what was happening and pointed her weapon at him. Harem prevents her from canceling his magic and tells her that she wants to know what lies behind the destruction, as it is part of her research in magic, even if it means that they are all swallowed into the darkness. Then she was surprised that Mira and Akio broke into the room, and Mira used her ability to stop the collapse, and while Harem cannot move, she ordered Akio to get rid of him as the source of the collapse phenomenon, and she did not hesitate to jump towards him and use her power to finish him. RIZZ and Harem end up being punished for not conducting any experiments that caused damage to the academy, in addition to their work in serving all the students during the summer trip. And when he wonders why the principal chose this particular island, Lilith tells him that he has been planning this trip for a while and decided that now is the best time after the academy was damaged because of them. When RIZZ is amazed at his magical ability, Levi tells him that he is one of the 5 most powerful magicians in the world despite his ridiculous appearance and clumsy personality. Earlier, when Akio kicked RIZZ and they thought he was finished, they were surprised that the collapse phenomenon had not stopped yet, and RIZZ found himself in another world filled with musical pieces. Then he found a pink door appearing in front of him out of nowhere, and when he opened it, he entered a girl's room containing many dolls and found a girl playing the violin, and upon seeing him, she stopped playing and welcomed him into her room. Then she told him that her name was Yu, and she was the one who pulled him into this world before Akio's kick tore him to pieces and caused the destruction of the academy. Meanwhile, the situation at the academy was getting worse as the Black Sun began to swallow students with less magical power. He decides to go back to stop the chaos. When she asks him if he knows how to stop the collapse, he says he doesn't know, but he will try to control the situation as he doesn't want to see someone get swallowed by the sun like Hijiri. Yu tells him that he can try to control it by finding his Ultima, the magical power that he will dedicate his life to researching, and he will have to choose his research topic from one of the 7 deadly sins, which is a shortcut to controlling his power. Remembering that Mira controlled her powers with a magic crystal containing one of the sins, he realizes what power he wants and asks Yu to take him back to the academy to save the day. Akio decides to give him a chance and take his life if he fails, and RIZZ decides to choose his own power of control and uses the book to summon his power and transform into a sorcerer. After swearing his loyalty to Estel, he ordered him to nullify whatever magical powers were activated around him. He succeeded in restoring the situation to normal, but because of this, the witches found themselves naked after being stripped of their magical robes, and his clothes were soon torn, and he ended up being punished by serving students on the beach. As he tells the story to Selena, Lilith scolds him and tells him it's nothing to brag about before Levi starts fondling her breasts, and RIZZ quickly gets excited before she uses her weapon and forces them to flee to the beach. Selena then asked him to show her his wizard phase, so he took Astel out of hiding, and she was surprised that he was able to communicate with them and that he remembered her from when she almost peed herself the other day. He was surprised when Selena used her power to tie him up so that she could take a picture of him and use it as a scoop, but she was soon surprised by his ability to cancel the magic in a flash and also caused her to strip naked. In the evening, Selena and Levi heard suspicious noises coming from Lilith's room. They came closer to eavesdrop and started imagining perverted situations with RIZZ, but Lilith opened the door after hearing their voices outside and beat them up. The girls were frustrated that their conclusions were wrong and that they weren't about to make love. RIZZ told them that he wouldn't mind, but they were talking about his Ultima and his success in converting some magic into usable power so that he could become a magician and get Hijiri back. Then he remembered that he had to meet all 7 witches and make them his pawns. He realized that there were 2 witches he hadn't met yet, and Selena told him him that one of them was named Yui, but she was rarely spotted at the academy. He realized that she was the girl who saved him from death at the hands of Akio, and Selena told him that she is a special witch that he can only communicate with her in dreams, which means that there is only one witch left, and Lilith told him that she disappeared before he arrived in this world. After that, they all went to the co-ed bathroom, and he realized that Akio and Mira didn't want to share the bathroom with a pervert like him, so he realized that he had to do something to gain their trust and become a witch. Then Selena suggested that he work on mastering the magic of stripping clothes and directing it to a specific target so that he could strip him of both clothes and magic, and he could materialize it in the form of a certain weapon. So he asked Lilith to lend him her weapon, but she refused so that she could use her magic. He thought of copying him and using the same ability, but Selena thought of having each of them demonstrate their magical abilities in front of him so that he could choose the form of manifestation of his power. When he asked Lilith to go first, she got angry and told him that magic is not something one can show off in front of others. Surprised that he begged her to show him a small glimpse of her power and that he would do anything to save Hijiri, she agreed to help him and summoned her pistol, which contains her magical powers, and he asked his book to transform into a gun, and he succeeded in transforming into a gun. The witches were surprised that it worked the first time. Then Lilith approached him and found that his weapon was sloppy, as he only copied his magic inside it, and then they realized that he has a greater power, which is his ability to use other people's magic by copying it. The next day, Arata is still unable to comprehend that he has a new ability to copy magic, but he is excited about the idea of becoming a great hero who can use all kinds of magic. Lilith is irritated by his enthusiasm and tells him that he needs to learn how to go through the steps necessary to copy magic. When they entered the classroom, they were surprised to see that all the students had fallen asleep. He even tried to wake Selena up, but she didn't respond. He thought that maybe no one wanted to attend Lilith's classes because of her shortcomings as a teacher. But when they went to tell Biblia what happened, he told them that this was the effect of the collapse phenomenon, where all the students with weak magical powers fell asleep. When it occurred to him to caress the sleeping girls with Arata, Lilith slapped them. He told them seriously that all they had to do was join forces to stop the collapse, but found that Akio and Mira were unwilling to cooperate with Arata and were content with their powers alone. Biblia tells the others that the reason the academy is drowning in magic is because of its basement, where Yu lives in a cell in the basement, and it is possible that she is involved and her magic is out of control. So they all head towards the basement, and Arata is confused by the strangeness of the place down there. They told him that what happened to the students was her doing, as she was close to waking up from her tima, which is why she was sealed and isolated from the rest, and that she is considered the most powerful witch in the academy after Principal Biblia. Arata is surprised when Levi tells him that Yu's magic can put the entire world into a deep sleep and cause the end of the world because of her ability. Lilith guesses that it might have something to do with her meeting him when Akio almost killed him. They decide to find Yu before Akio and Mira, as they will wipe her out if they find her before them as the guardians of the magic book. They wander around the basement until they see a group of shadows approaching. Lilith prepared to finish them off while Arata wanted to try out his new weapon, but found himself in trouble after he couldn't turn his book into a gun again since the book didn't store the information last time. Eren had to put a barrier between them and the shadows to prevent them from approaching so that Arata could use his power, but the book turned into a gun similar to a hairdryer, and when he tried to fire his magic at the shadows, it did not emit any power. Arata was furious and called the gun a piece of junk before throwing it to the ground. Soon, Lilith and Eren were stripped of their clothes as the magic flowed from it, and the shadows came closer to them, and Levi decided to face them alone and managed to tear them all apart with her speed. Arata notices that Levi is taking it seriously and guesses that Yu is closer to her than the others, and then they start going deeper into the basement, making it darker and darker around them. Arata tries to copy a magical power to use from the book, but Lilith tells him that he has to know some rules if he wants to use someone else's magic, and that what happened before was just a fluke. He then found Arian using a defense spell to protect him from shadows in the darkness, and when he thanked her for her help, she felt a little happy and told him that he should write down the spells in his book and chant them to be able to use them. When they reached the lowest elevation of the basement, Akio and Mira appeared in front of them through the wall. When they ignored them and continued on their way, Arata asked if they intended to eliminate Yui, to which Mira replied that she didn't mind getting rid of him first since his magic had no effect on her. Lily has no choice but to confront them, and Akio is eager to have a fierce fight with her, while Levi tells the others to continue on their way because Arata is the only one who can save Yui. She then uses her magical power known as the Divine Wind and causes everyone to lose their balance, and Arata is surprised to see Mira's panties before he continues towards Yu, and when they arrive, they are surprised to find a huge dragon surrounding Yu from all sides. Arata noticed that she looked different than when he first saw her, so Eren told him that what he saw in his dreams was her imaginary form, and suddenly Arata collapsed and fell to the ground, unable to move, and his magic began to flow out of his body and collide with the dragon's magic, and when he was attacked, Eren blocked it with her barrier, but she could not hold out for long. Lilith used her rifle and succeeded succeeded in shooting him, but the magical bullet did not weaken his power at all. Akio and Mira joined them and thought they had defeated Levi, but Akio told them that they had agreed to a temporary truce so that they could join forces to defeat the Black Dragon. Levi takes Arata away, while Akio and Mira decide to attack the dragon, but he starts to feel better, and when the fight between the witches and the dragon begins, Levi expresses her desire to join the fight and tells him that he must do his best to find Hijiri. Arata decides to use his magic and asks Levi to help him learn how to fight, and is curious to ask her how close she is to Yui. She tells him that she doesn't expect anything from anyone and Yu doesn't develop a relationship with anyone, which is the similarity between them, and her personality traits are the opposite of her strengths. Arata realizes that magic means acting against your own logic and decides to take control of everything. Levi asks Lilith to give him a quick lesson on magic during the battle and tells him that he has to choose his spells. He asks his book if he can use the same words he used before, and the book warns him not to take magic lightly lest he be consumed by it and turn into a shadow, and he realizes that the shadows that attacked them earlier are humans whose souls have been consumed by magic. Arata was terrified by everyone's warnings about magic, but finally mustered up the courage to ask the book to take as much of his magical power as he wanted in exchange for giving him full control of the dragon. Levi told him to visualize the process of turning his power into a gun in his mind. To his surprise, she bid him to give him some of her magic. He rushed towards the dragon as his book turned into a full-fledged gun and succeeded in killing the dragon and erasing its existence with a single shot. As he disappeared, Yu regained consciousness and saw Levi near her. When Arata approached her, she was overjoyed after realizing that he had saved her life and hugged and clung to him, while Levi was proud that the future Demon King had fulfilled her expectations by defeating the dragon in one fell swoop and realized that he was someone with interesting abilities. Arata woke up the next day and was surprised that Yu and Erin were sleeping in the same bed with him and was stuck in the middle because of their clinging to him until Lilith entered the room to wake him up and saw the situation. Throughout the day, Yu followed Arata and clung to him everywhere and came to consider him her older brother after he saved her, while Erin, on the other hand, looks up to him as her husband. As they sat watching their teammates training, Mira and Akio approached them, wanting to get rid of him, and Mira expressed her view that Yui and Arata were still a threat to her even though the situation at the academy had stabilized. She was interrupted by Selena's sudden appearance and filming them for a scoop. Then Lilith approached them and told them to join physical training with their classmates, but Arata told her that the witches were fighting over him. Levi appears out of nowhere and decides to continue her fight with Akio, each using their magical powers, and Erin decides to join in, making it a three-way battle while Selena continues to take pictures of them with enthusiasm. Yu then joins the battle and summons her magical power to transform into a form that no one at the academy has ever seen before, and Arata is surprised to be transported to her dream world after she starts playing a melody and sees Yui in her familiar form. When he asked about the others, she told him that they were having another dream and found them sleeping around the room, while he was surprised that Mira was still awake due to her ability to block and reverse magic, and realized that he ended up standing naked that day because of her ability. She felt embarrassed and told him that she only reversed his magic on him before she left. Yu wanted to take advantage of the situation and try to kiss him, but he refused and suggested that they get to know each other better. When he asked her about her temperament, she told him that all this time she had been sleeping alone and would not have woken up if he hadn't destroyed the dragon yesterday. He realized that his magic had stripped her of her powers and caused her to wake up from her slumber and return to reality. He offered to become friends and help her develop her Ultima. She was happy to become his friend, and when he felt like returning to reality, he was surprised when she approached him and gave him a small kiss on the cheek to thank him for saving her. Meanwhile, Arata and Yu were still asleep while the others woke up and sat watching them, while Mira stood absent-mindedly in the shower until she was surprised by Akio behind her and almost slipped because of her. And when Akio noticed her angry expression, he approached her and told her that she didn't have to act like the head of security all the time. Mira said that she was beginning to feel overwhelmed by the recent collapses and the fact that many mages had lost control of their powers, and wondered if it had anything to do with Arata's appearance. She vowed to cleanse the world of all that was corrupt, and Akio told her not to worry too much, as she considered the demons to be her enemies, and together they could defeat them. The next morning, everyone woke up and was surprised to find that all the windows had shattered at once, and Mira realized that there were traces of a collapse phenomenon in the surrounding area. She accused Arata of causing it, but he denied it, and Lilith told him that suspicion would fall on him and Yu since the chaos was caused by a collapse phenomenon. When Yu joined them, she said that she didn't cause the chaos and that the entire academy would have turned into one big dungeon if she had caused it. Mira realized that the nature of the magic spreading around didn't belong to any of them and told them that it was similar to the magic in the library. Levi theorizes that a ghost has come to haunt them. Yu shudders in fear, and Arata wonders why they're worried about ghosts since they look a bit like shadows and dragons. Erin tells him that the ghosts are more fierce and have caused several casualties before. One day it was raining heavily while twin sisters were studying in the library, and when the windows shattered, as they did today, one sister disappeared in a flash 6 months before his arrival. Arata decides to investigate the ghosts himself. When he goes to the library, Mira warns him that she'll destroy him if he gets in their way. He tells her that it's best to be near them since the culprit is a collapsing phenomenon, and heads towards Selena. While they were talking, a mysterious force suddenly surrounded them, and within seconds they found themselves in another place, as if they had been transported to an unknown world. Mira used her power to locate them and found that they were in the immortal library and had been forcibly transported by someone. Then Arata was surprised by a sudden attack from an unknown force, but Selena pushed him away just in time. Then he noticed that she looks a bit like Selena, but it's not her, while everyone was surprised by the appearance of Liselot, the seventh witch in the triad. She then went to Mira and Lilith and took their magic, but before the process was complete, Levi interrupted her after realizing that she had turned into an evil witch, and when Arata wondered about her, Selena told him that she was her twin sister. He realized that the story Aaron had told him was about Selena and Liselot. Lilith told him that she was the girl who used forbidden experiments to connect to the immortal library, one of the 7 great witches. When they asked her why she practiced forbidden magic, Liselot told them it was part of her research on her own magic, and that the main reason she joined the security force in the past was to confront the phenomenon of the collapse and analyze its nature. They were surprised when she attacked Arata, but Selena was able to protect him thanks to her ability to predict her opponent's movements. She was excited about her sister's improved magical powers and felt the desire to possess them. But when she finds the witches ready to face her, she realizes she's at a disadvantage. She wonders about the rumors that the candidate for Demon King is a novice magician, and Arata tells her that he doesn't understand when they talk about taboos and evil forces around him. She told him that magic is human and he shouldn't call his powers by such names. Then they were surprised when she attacked Selena and took away her magical powers, causing her to fall helplessly. And when they saw the forbidden magic flowing out of her, she told them that by obtaining Selena's magic, she became a candidate for the position of Demon King, just like Arata. Mira found that Liselot had sealed Selena with the Demon King's seal and realized that she had already become a corrupt candidate for the position. She said that she had always wanted to skip everything quickly and achieve results like Arata in order to be worthy of becoming the Demon Queen. Arata agrees with her that he likes to get things done in a short and easy way, but he would never think of stealing magic from a friend. He decides to fight against her, but the book tells him that she is stronger than anything he has faced so far, but he is determined to teach her a lesson and not allow his position to be stolen. After summoning his power in the form of a weapon, Liselot learns all about his abilities through Selena's research that she stole and decides not to go easy on him. Before she starts fighting him, she offers to team up with her and almost convinces him when she tells him that she can save him a lot of time and help him find Hijiri. Then the witches started to attack her, but her magic flow was stronger than theirs and he was unable to get closer to her. Then they were surprised by her kissing him to steal his magic and leave him powerless, and after she became overpowered, she decided to test it on the rest of them. They ended up stripped naked after she used Arata's ability, but found that Mira and Levi were not affected by his spell and quickly attacked her, and Liselot was so surprised by Levi's superior speed that she failed to restrain her. She then decided to counterattack and managed to restrain her left arm for a while, but was able to get out of it. Liselot found that Mira used the time to activate her spell against her and used an ability to completely wipe out her magical powers. But soon after, they realized that the attack did not work against her after she was able to dodge it thanks to Arata's abilities while he was suffering from a significant decrease in his strength, and Aaron told him that Selena's life was at stake due to her loss of magic, and that they must restore her strength before she dies, and that the reason he is still alive is that he has his book in his possession. The book then suggested that he should run away from this place before she notices his presence, as Liselot's power has become invincible due to her taking away his magic, and when she realized what he was planning to do, she began to provoke him by accusing him of deciding to forget about his cousin. Suddenly, Liselot has a strange feeling about her powers. Arata tells her that he is still interested in saving his cousin, but he wants to protect Selena for now. Levi rushes towards her to attack her, and when she uses her invisibility to avoid the attack, she is shocked to find her standing behind her and manages to clip her magical wings thanks to her ninja skills. Finding herself in a bind, she decides to retreat for the time being until her magical powers stabilize. Once she's gone, everything is back to normal, and Mira warns them that Liselot will be able to control Arata's powers completely next time. The next day, she starts training him with Akio and decides to train him to draw out his potential directly, ordering him to have a mock duel against Akio to practice how to use his powers to copy the magic of others. After Akio took their fight seriously, Mira told Arata that he had to figure out how his power worked before it got him killed. Meanwhile, the other witches were helping to heal Selena. Then Aaron watched through the window as Arata was getting his ass kicked outside, and Arata could barely dodge Akio's kicks as he flew through the air like a balloon until he fell towards Mira and ended up touching her breasts. He realized that within seconds he would be beaten until he bled out, so he decided to admire her body anyway. Akio tells him that he's not bad at dodging attacks, but he needs to learn how to block them with his magic or he won't be able to defeat Liselot next time. He tells them that he can't fight Lidi's way, but they tell him that no one expects him to do that, but he has to use his unique magic that no one else has. Arata gathered his courage and felt confident and continued to train with them. In the meantime, the witches were attacked inside Selena's room, shattering the windows, and shadows began to invade the academy, causing panic for the rest of the students, and they realized that Liselot recovered quickly and returned to them. Biblia, on the other hand, realized that the academy was in trouble again due to the weakening of the Seven Trinities magic, in addition to the two monitors being busy training Arata. Liselot appeared in front of him and asked him if he wanted to join forces with her, but he decided to confront her and jokingly told her to go easy on him since he was no longer as he was in his youth and might accept her offer if she could attack him first. Liselot became excited and accepted his challenge and told him that she intended to take away his magic and the magic of the entire academy as her graduation present. When she ordered her shadows to attack him, she was stunned to see him fending them off without moving a step. In a flash, he was holding her and told her the first rule of the wizarding world. She must keep her book in her hand while fighting a wizard stronger than her. She was furious and decided to use more of her strength to get away. When she bound him using Selena's technique, she was surprised that he could activate a spell while he was bound and that he could easily unbind her. Liselot realizes how powerful the director is and tells him that she wants to take all his research results and claim them as her own, and then she finds herself seeing suspicious things behind him as if he has opened a large portal of evil and shadows towards her while he stands there and smiles confidently. As Liselot stands mesmerized by Biblia's power, he tells her that what lies behind him is his magic book known as Solomon's Gate and advises her not to stare at it too long, lest she lose her mind. She kept thinking of a way to lure him and fight him, then it occurred to her to seduce him, and as soon as he saw part of her chest, he immediately rushed towards her and she succeeded in kicking him, sending him flying out, and she realized that he was just pathetic while he realized that she had lost everything in exchange for this much power. Meanwhile, Arata and the observers noticed the chaos inside the academy. Mira told him that he should hurry up and figure out how to use his power, and Akio kept attacking him so that he could read her movements and copy her magic. Then he took out his book and told him that he was able to complete the operations required to copy her magic, but it would be different this time, and they were all surprised when the book turned into a silver-haired girl and told them that it hadn't been like that since Hijiri was using it. On the other side, Erin sensed a strong source of magic coming from a certain direction, and soon Liselot appeared in front of them, but she ended up trapped in one of Levi's traps that she had made in advance, but she quickly managed to free herself and then approached Selena and told them that she intended to turn her into a wicked witch. After Selena regained consciousness, Liselot was surprised that she wanted to challenge her despite her powerlessness, and then added that she wanted her to stop being an evil witch if Arata could defeat her. She grabbed her hand and told her it was too late to make such a promise, and told the others that she had come to take away their magic so that she could defeat Biblia. But before she could attack them, a dragon appeared out of nowhere and bit them and found that it belonged to Arata, who had finally managed to regain his magical power, and Lilith realized that he had mastered his magic with the help of the book when she saw the familiar girl and told them that Hijiri used to call her Sora. Earlier, Sora had explained to Arata how to use the magic he was copying and asked him to keep Akio's magic in one part of his body and then put his will and emotions into it to use it, as this is the core of the power and strength of her abilities. And Akio decided to give him her visualization ability to be able to stop Liselot, and she quickly lost consciousness at that time. Before Liselot could do anything, Arata stripped her naked, causing Lilith to rush towards him to slap him and scold him. While they were messing around, Liselot managed to regain her magic again and thought she would try to approach him and take his magic away again. Arata decides to attack, and Sora tells him to rip her clothes off with his dragon, but before he realizes it, she disappears in a flash and reappears behind him, realizing that his magic book helps him as a partner, making it harder for her to hurt him. Then she tells him that even if he succeeds in tracking her movement, he won't be able to match her speed, and suddenly she appears behind him out of nowhere and continues to appear and disappear at super speed around him to distract him while Sora tries to read her movements as much as possible. But soon she jumps behind him and manages to catch him to take away his magic. Suddenly realizing that her hand has not yet penetrated his body thanks to Akio's strength, she rushes away after realizing that attacking and restraining him will not work, so she decides to use her secret weapon, and they are surprised to end up in another world where Liselot can stop time on all objects and beings around her, and everyone around Arata quickly turned into statues except for him. Arata and Sora felt they were in trouble after Liselot took control of time and realized that she could stop time on him if he tried to attack her, and vowed that she would take away every ounce of magic in his body this time and wouldn't care about his fate. Arata remembered the last time he saw Hijiri when she was swallowed by the black sun and began to smile softly after he had an idea and decided to put all his power into Aikio's magic, and when he rushed to attack her, she stopped time and immobilized him and approached him confidently and gave him a sexy kiss to take away his magic. Suddenly, she felt her power turn upside down inside her body and realized that he had put all his power into his tongue instead of his hand because he was sure she would kiss him, which meant that she fell into the trap easily and succeeded in making her lose control of her magic. She wondered what kind of will he put into the power to be able to affect her so much. She remembered the moment Aikio gave her power to him, where he saw a glimpse of her past as a child sitting in prayer, and then she was surprised by him approaching her and hugging her and telling her that everyone wants her back as much as he wants Hijiri back and doesn't want her to stay in this gray world alone. Liselot starts crying and tells him that she can no longer leave this world that she created for herself after she gave up everything, as the creator of this ability remains stagnant in this world where time stood still forever and could not get out of it, and this is the price that everyone who obtains this power pays. He asked her why she used this kind of magic, and she told him that a magician has to do what he has to do for his research, and the same applies to his cousin, and then surprised her by kissing him and thanking him for trying to help her, and told him that she would not have ended up like this if she had someone who cared about her that much, and asked him to apologize to her sister on her behalf before she took him out of her world. After he returned to the real world again, he told them what happened with Liselot and that she will never be able to return, but the good news is that he succeeded in obtaining the Demon King element from her. And when Mira asked how many times Arata was able to master the Logos art ability, and when Sora answered that he was unable to activate it once, Selena ordered to train him to master the ability as soon as she recovered so that they could get Liselot back as soon as possible. Selena felt excited that she would contribute in some way to the recovery of her sister by using her camera, and Arata promised her that he would help her in time. Meanwhile, Biblia was watching them from the outside and admired how Arata got along with the 7 witches and gained their trust in a short time. As time goes on, Arata learns more about magic and the abilities of the 7 witches, and Lilith notices that he is trying to improve and has become more diligent lately, until she begins to suspect that Arata might be a fake. He tells her that he is trying his best to save Liselot and is close to finishing copying the entire Logos art technology. She warns him that learning quickly will increase the likelihood that he will lose control of his magic and may lose control of several types at once. He told her that he wanted to be able to do something and would not tolerate someone going to a place he could not reach. He then interrupted their summons to meet Biblia in his office, and while entering he tripped over Mira, who was standing in front of him because of his talking while walking, and ended up seeing her panties, which made her throw him out of the academy and destroy a large part of the building. Biblia then tells them of his decision to temporarily appoint Arata as assistant head of the investigation department, which infuriates Mira as he is a perverted and corrupt person in her opinion, and she strongly objects to his decision. When he inquired about the work of the investigation division, Aikio told him that they go out and defeat all the evil wizards around, which made him excited, but Mira told him that it's not that easy, and Biblia fought to include Lilith as his protege. He then told them that the reason behind his sudden decision was that he decided to send Mira and Aikio on a mission to a place that had already been completely destroyed, the Liber Academy of Magic, and he was worried about sending them alone and asked them to help Arata by giving him everything they know about magic to help him do his job. Arata then asks about each of their powers and how they relate to the 7 sins, and Lilith explains their powers. When it's her turn to tell them about hers, she's embarrassed and refuses to tell him, but he begs her to tell him so that he can study harder. Then she had to tell him that her powers were lust-related, which meant she was a complete pervert. He realized that if she became his tutor, she would give him lessons on her lust research. When he found her pointing a rocket cannon at him, he told her it was just a joke. Then she started teaching him everything she knew about magic, especially her abilities, so that he could copy it and use it when needed. At the end of the day, he lay down on his bed and was surprised that Sora was sitting on top of him and wondered if she hadn't returned to her book form yet. They were interrupted by Aikio and Mira, who were shocked to see them in this state, and when he asked why they had come so late, she told him that she wanted to check if he was studying or slacking off, and noticed that Lilith had already fallen asleep in the chair. He then thought to ask about what happened to the Liber Academy in detail, and she told him that the academy was destroyed at the same time as Liselot's attack on them, and their mission is to investigate the collapse of the academy, and they will have to use a teleportation device to get there. While they were talking, Mira was surprised by a bug climbing up her clothes. She panicked and lunged at Arata, and they fell to the ground. Lilith woke up and found them in front of her at a suspicious time, and ended up being blown up by a close-range missile. The next day, Arata sat with all of them in the co-ed bathhouse, relaxing before their mission, and found Lilith asking to speak to him privately. And when he went with her, he was surprised that she wanted to show him a place like a vast city near them. She then told him that the best way to regain his magic and physical and mental strength was to relax in the hot springs while admiring this view. He found her praising his hard work in rescuing you and Liselot, and remembered when he used to watch the sunset with Hijiri. Then he realized that the view became even more beautiful when he saw her smile at the sunset and made her feel awkward. So she pointed the water gun at him and started spraying it, and while they were enjoying themselves, the others sat down to watch them. Then Sora threw a fallen leaf at them, causing Lilith's bra to break, and Arata found himself in front of her sexy airbags, but ended up getting beaten up by her. The next day, Biblia prepares to send them to the vicinity of Liber Academy via magical teleportation, but to their surprise, they are intercepted and trapped in the space-time rift, and Biblia decides to take a risk to ensure their safe arrival. Seconds later, they found themselves right in front of the academy, but Sora felt that there was magic similar to the magic of her world, so he realized that they were in another world. When Mira regained consciousness, she told him that they were in front of the academy, and he was surprised because according to his information, it had been destroyed. He was surprised when he heard Hijiri's voice calling him and couldn't believe he saw her in front of him, so he asked her if she was real, but Mira was not easily fooled and decided to use her abilities against her to force her to appear in her true form, but she easily blocked her, and when she realized that her protection barrier would not withstand Mira's magic, she decided to withdraw and told Arata that they would meet later before disappearing as she appeared. Arata suspects that the person standing in front of them is the real Hijiri, and after she disappears, Sora tells him that she is the Ilia Fragment, a magical book that serves as an alternate version of the real Hijiri, reflecting her memories and appearance. Mira came to the academy and said that she would fulfill the mission alone while he went to look for the girl. He felt that she was angry for some reason, and Sora guessed that the reason for her anger was that his girlfriend had returned. The three of them head inside the academy, and Arata guesses that they may have been transported to another world that was already constructed because it was indestructible, but Sora tells him that only the Demon King or the future candidate can construct worlds. When she used her ability, they discovered that the academy had been isolated in another dimension and had never been destroyed, and there was nothing in this world but the academy, and on their way inside, they found a large group of shadows blocking them. Mira decides to take care of them, and when she goes to use her powers, she accidentally strips herself naked, so Arata gives her his jacket, and Sora realizes that magic has been banned in the academy, but it won't affect her because she's made of pure magic. Sora had no choice but to take care of them, and Arata had to pick up the naked Mira and run away. Once they were away, Sora started using her powers and crushing shadows until Hijiri appeared in front of her again and told her that no matter how strong she was, she had no chance of surviving within her sphere. On the other side, Arata and Mira came to a dead end and realized that they were trapped in this place, so he gave her half of his clothes to cover herself and then sat down to think of a way to get out of this dimension and find out who did it without having to fight pointless battles. Then he thought that destroying the source of the barrier they were trapped in would be enough to free them. She told him that the sources are usually located in the center of the academy itself, so he decided to go check it out on his own and asked her to get some rest so that she could regain her magic again. But she grabbed the hem of his clothes before he left and shyly told him that she would accompany him on the grounds that he didn't know the way around the academy. Meanwhile, Sora was trying to attack the fake Hijiri, but was using the shadows as temporary shields and soon realized that they were actually former students inside the academy. She decided not to hesitate to use her full power to attack them, but instead of getting the fake Hijiri, she ended up trapped inside a mysterious black cube. After the fake Hijiri succeeded in getting her, she decided to focus on her next prey, Arata. Meanwhile, Arata and Mira were in the academy's center at the clock tower, so they decided to climb to the top of the tower. Arata carried her on his back so he wouldn't peek at her as she went up first. While climbing, he thought to ask her if it was her powerful magic that made her the head of the investigation department. She told him that her strength is one of the reasons, but the main reason is her taima, which is known as justice. He was curious about her past since taima is the opposite of a person's original nature. Mira then remembered her childhood when she was admired by her classmates at the academy because of her strength. However, she tried very hard not to socialize with others in case she lost control of her magic and ended up becoming lonely and friendless until she met Akio for the first time, where she found her approaching her and asking her to help her with some research. From then on, Akio became her best friend, doing everything together and helping her get used to life at the academy. One day, Mira fainted while trying to control her magic and accidentally attacked herself. When she regained consciousness, she found Akio carrying her on her back and apologized for the failure of her experiment. Akio realized that she had decided to do it alone so as not to cause trouble for others and suggested that she unleash her magic, and Mira was impressed by the beauty and honesty of her personality and decided to follow her example and be someone who can take responsibility for her own powers. Then, to her surprise, she told him her life story after her mind wandered and told him that this was why she couldn't accept having a corrupt person like him around her. Arata smiled and expressed his happiness that she was acting spontaneously again and told her that he deliberately talked to her about anything to distract her. After reaching the top of the tower, Mira didn't find any traps near them, but they were surprised to see the black cube where Sora was trapped, and then saw the fake Hijiri appear out of nowhere behind them. She then then told him that his magic book had been successfully sealed and that she intended to get rid of Mira to spend the rest of the time alone until the real Hijiri finished destroying the outside world. They then found themselves surrounded by shadows, and when Arata felt they were in trouble, she told him that only Mira was in trouble. Sora's voice echoes inside him, telling him not to react to her and that he is currently the only one who can hear her. She then says that the cube she is trapped inside is responsible for keeping space-time intact, and the academy will collapse if she destroys it, and asks him to buy her some time so that she can free herself. He decided to distract Ilia and told her that he was willing to stay here in exchange for letting Mira live. She agreed to his proposal and asked him to come closer. When Mira asked him not to sacrifice himself for her, he told her that as vice president, he had to make sure that the commander returned to the real world safely, and asked her to find a way to help him get out of here after she was free. As he approached Ilia, he asked her if she intended to cause Sora's death. She told him that magic books don't die unless they're left forgotten forever, so he was curious if the real Hijiri was actually planning to destroy the outside world. She replied that she had become completely different from the one he knew, and that once the world ends and disappears, he'll be able to meet her to find out. He was surprised that she intended to eliminate Mira instead of sending her out of the world, and before he could do anything, he found himself tied up. She tells him that she expected him to use telepathy with his book due to the strength of their bond, and that he underestimated a girl in love like her, and that she definitely knows everything about him and won't let any other girl get close to him. Sora soon realizes that her powers are draining after a magic circle appears right underneath her. Ilia tells her that she intends to drain her forever as her power source, and they all end up under her control, with Arata standing helplessly watching his book being drained and Mira being brutally beaten by the shadows. Suddenly, Arata gives her a terrifying look and tells her that all he wanted was to enjoy his life with his closest friends and family, and wonders if he will end up being eaten by magic. Sora tells her to stop what he is doing now, but before she can do anything, she is shocked to see him transform into the candidate version of the Demon King known as Astral Trinity. Ilia watches Arata's terrifying transformation, unable to do anything, and is surprised when he strips her naked using his power and manages to get Sora out of the queue, eliminating all the shadows at once and feeling the pleasure of being able to control everything around him. Sora told them that the true Demon King inside him had awakened, and no one could stand against him. Mira soon felt her magical powers coming back, and Sora said that he was taking over this world completely. Mira felt that he was turning into an evil person, and when she remembered that he had good qualities in him, she decided not to let that happen and used her and Sora's magic to stop him, but they ended up completely naked and surprised that he could use counter magic. He then approached Mira and wanted to kiss her, but she slapped him with all her might until Sora realized that he had a defect from the shock and took advantage of it, rushing towards him and using her magic to bring Arata back and extinguish the Demon King's power inside him again. After a while, he regained consciousness and thanked Mira for slapping him and that he had come to his senses thanks to her. They went back to thinking of a way out of here, and Sora told them that the quickest way would be to eliminate Ilia. When Arata finds her sitting absent-mindedly away, he decides not to use violence and asks her to tell him how to get back to the outside world, as he wants to see the real Hijiri and wants to thank her properly later for going through the trouble of transforming into Hijiri for him. Ilia is confused before telling him that this world is no longer under her control because of the black sun he created when he was the Demon King, and that at this rate they will all disappear into this world. Arata tells her that they will find a solution as long as their powers are united, and then he materializes his power in the form of a weapon and realizes that he can master more than one spell at the same time after becoming the Demon King. He then offered Ilia to come with them and told her that he wanted her to be his girlfriend in the other world. She felt happy and approached him for a hug, feeling as if his powers had stabilized after she gave him her magic. He destroyed the black sun he had created with Sora and Mira. Lilith and Akio then joined them, and when Lilith arrived, she was surprised to see Arata falling towards her. Mira told her that he had become powerless after using his magic for a long time, and Akio noticed that she started calling him by his first name for some reason, and they decided to leave the place immediately. Lilith notices that Arata has 2 magic books and soon realizes that someone is watching them from afar, but she ignores it and continues on her way while Hijiri watches them from a distance, upset about the fact that she and Arata are going to be enemies. Afterward, they had to stay in a room until Arata had fully recovered his powers. Lilith couldn't believe that he had turned into the Demon King, and when Mira remembered that, she said that they wouldn't be able to stop him if he had completely lost control of himself. Akio felt the urge to get rid of him to avoid his danger, but after realizing that her friends would be angry with her, she did. She wondered who was responsible for the destruction of Leper Academy. Mira replied that it was all the work of Ilia, Hijiri's magic book, the same girl that Arata is looking for. Akio realized that it was not a coincidence, and after some time, Arata woke up feeling suffocated and called Hijiri's name until he was surprised to find her sitting in front of him and holding his hand. Then she expressed her happiness that he still remembered her after all this time. He apologized that he could not reach her hand on the day of the earthquake, and she told him that she was happy that he tried to become a magician to save her, and he promised her that he would do everything he could to get her back. She told him that they were now enemies and that she was stronger than him, but he said that he had become the candidate of the Demon King and vowed to become stronger so that he could reach her and save her. She told him that she would wait for him to come to her and then decided to get rid of his current version. Before she can attack him, Lilith bursts into the room and attacks her to protect him, but she manages to avoid the damage easily, and Lilith realizes that she has the same Demon King element that Liselot had. She told her that she got it from the destroyed world she was sent to and that she could outsmart the most powerful mages with it. Then she decided to use it and transform into the Demon Queen form. Lilith was shocked to realize that Hijiri was able to master 3 types of Tema at the same time. She tossed her weapon aside and rushed over to Arata, hugging him tightly and telling him that he wouldn't survive an attack from her. Hijiri told her that she intended to take his magic from his magic books so that she could revive him someday. She then launched the thunderous attack on them using her full strength, but was shocked when Eren easily blocked it and told him that she had broken through space-time as soon as she heard his voice after he had summoned her. Hijiri realizes that she has the demon spear that caused her magic to break, then finds Akio and Mira joining them. She admires Arata's progress and that he is worthy of being called the Demon King, then tells them that with Eren's arrival, she can seal them all in darkness and leave the academy to suffer in the outside world without a protector. Before disappearing, she tells him that her followers are on their way to Biblia Academy, and if he doesn't hurry back to the outside world, he will have no home to return to. Mira realizes that she is heading towards the academy and plans to destroy it, and Arata decides that despite his condition and the fact that his life will be in danger, he wants to protect the academy and defeat Hijiri. Meanwhile, the academy is under a thunderous attack from the sky, causing panic for all the students with little magic, while the principal and the other 7 witches keep a close eye on the situation until Levi decides to go out and fight off Lu's attacks. Lu was impressed by Levi's speed, but she managed to hit her in the left arm, so Levi had no choice but to continue fighting with one hand and found the petty principal standing with a sign of encouragement instead of helping her beat Lu. He told her that he would have liked to help her, but he had an opponent to face. Levi was surprised when a mysterious figure appeared behind Lu with an exaggerated magical aura flowing from it. Then Yu told them that she had evacuated the academy and brought all the students into her dream world. Levi decides to hold out for a while until help arrives. She combines her magic with Yu's and rushes towards Lu, attacking her from all sides until she manages to inflict a deep wound on her neck without realizing it and is surprised that Levi is moving faster than she is. Lu decides to fight her seriously and manages to beat her within seconds and tells her that all her techniques will not work against her, but Levi gathers the rest of her strength and decides to continue fighting. Biblia realized what she was about to do and tried to stop her, but she decided to use the same spell as Liselot that led her to be trapped in the gray world forever and created a violent thunderstorm, while Lug was disappointed in her as her abilities still wouldn't work against her. However, as soon as the storm was over, Levi disappeared, and she realized that she had tricked her into taking the opportunity to escape by pretending to use her most powerful ability, while Levi and Biblia ran away and began treating her injuries. Meanwhile, Arata and the others are surprised to learn that Hijiri has destroyed the teleportation device with her destruction technique, which means it will be difficult for them to return to the outside world, and they will need a number of specialists to help repair it. Lilith decides to let them fix it, although it's not easy, but she asks them to lend her their powers, and the witches join forces to provide her with the necessary strength. On the other side, Lu is looking for Levi after sensing her presence near her. Then Levi appeared out of nowhere to attack her, but she easily blocked her, and Lug noticed that her movements became more graceful than before thanks to Biblia's treatment. Then Levi continued to attack her until Lo found herself trapped in a series of threads of shadows and could not move no matter how fast she was. She summoned a bright spear and sword, as well as wings of blades, and managed to effortlessly cut through Levi's strands, then rushed towards her in a flash, hitting Levi with so much damage that she was knocked to the ground. When Yu saw this in her dreams, she decided to go back and help Levi, even though she might cause her teammates to perish in her world. Selena decided to sacrifice and go in her place, and rushed out of Yu's world without waiting for her response. As soon as she returned to the outside world, she found herself directly below Lu, so she took a picture of her as a scoop, and Lo was surprised that she was tied up by the camera. Then she headed towards Levi, and as she was about to use the healing spell, she was surprised that Lu was able to free herself. Biblia intervened just in time, and before she could prepare to attack him, Liselot returned to this world and expressed her displeasure at Love hurting her sister and friend, and used Selena's body to access the outside world through the camera. Lu rushed towards her to attack her, but she was able to dodge her easily and ended up frozen after Liselot used the camera to take a picture of her and immobilize her, so she decided to sacrifice the spear and destroy it to free herself from Liselot's shackles. She then rushed to attack Liselot, who pretended to try to immobilize her with the camera again, and then she disappeared and tried to surprise her with an attack from behind, but Liselot dodged it in time time, and before she approached her, she was surprised that Levi appeared out of nowhere and succeeded in tearing her wings. Liselot tells her that she deliberately deceived her in order to speed up Levi's recovery with the camera and Selena's abilities. Lou realizes that her winning percentage has dropped to 15% after losing 2 of her legendary weapons, and when they suggest that she retreat and run for her life, they are surprised by the formation of black clouds above them, and Hijiri lands to join Lou's side, then warned Liselot that she had made a bad choice to stand by the mages, and that this world had no future. She told her that she loved the love and support of her friends, and that she didn't want Selena to live in a world where time stood still forever. With Yu's support, Hijiri decides to take revenge on Liselot as a traitor and uses her superpower to eliminate all 3 of them at once before the Demon King takes over. But soon a portal from the other world opens and Arata descends through it towards Lou. Before he could realize his dire situation, Lilith and Erin crushed his back by falling on top of him, and after everyone was back again, Liselot decided to stay in this world with her friends, while Arata approached her and decided to fight back and defeat her in his world. Arata asks the 7 witches to lend him their powers so that he can restore Hijiri and defeat her once and for all. He is surprised to see Liselot in Selena's body, and even though he hasn't fully recovered his powers, Hijiri decides not to go easy on him. Meanwhile, Biblia and Mysterious Woman are watching from afar, and it turns out that the Mysterious Woman is actually the headmistress of Liber Academy, and he suggests that they just watch the fight and not fight each other so that they don't cause the world to collapse. Hijiri attacks, but Mira manages to block her and is surprised to find Akio sneaking up behind her. As she is about to attack, she is blocked by Lug and is shocked to see that her sword has been damaged by Yu's magic-enhanced kick. Levi and Selena took the opportunity to attack Hijiri all at once, but their magical powers were useless against her. She told them that she had just used a spell called Baldur's Dream, and Erin realized that it was the spell of a legendary god whose defense only she could destroy. Hijiri quickly realized their plan to distract her in order to make room for Erin and decided to target her directly with a surprise attack, but she was surprised that her attack hit Levi and Selena after they switched positions with Erin just in time. Erin did not hesitate to attack her and destroy her magic circle, and then Arata and Lilith took advantage of the gap and put all his magic inside her weapon and fired the predatory dragon bullet at her, and while she was blocking it, she saw a scene from the future and realized how the Demon King would destroy the world and fell to the ground from the bullet. Arata rushed over to check on her, and when she regained consciousness, she told him that she knew he had used up all his magic, but he surprised her with his final attack. She then decided to tell him the truth about this world and began to tell him what had happened since she was swallowed into the collapse phenomenon. Hijiri said that she was exiled from this world and found herself in the middle of a complete void and could not determine where she was, although she felt the pleasure of living in hibernation after realizing that she would never see him again and gradually began to lose her sense of time. Suddenly, she was able to see the world from the outside through a crystal that appeared in front of her, and what she saw clearly was his future with the 7 witches and that they were going to destroy the world. Then she took out the crystal to show him how he would destroy the world and make it collapse into nothingness, and then another world would be born in its place. They found that every time a new world was born, Arata was destined to meet the 7 witches, turn into the Demon King, and destroy the world in an endless loop, and expressed her displeasure with a world that uses him as a tool only to be reborn. She then adds that she would like them to destroy the world together and build a new one, as she doesn't want him to end up as an immortal Demon King and wishes him a happy life in another world. Arata then realizes that she was after destroying the world for him and doesn't care what happens to her. He told her that his Tima was control and vowed that he would control the Demon King inside him, even if it meant controlling fate itself. Then, to his surprise, she began to gradually fade away, telling him that her body had been vaporized since that day, and she was just an entity wandering in a rift between worlds. After she faded away, the Demon King element was released, but it was soon obtained by the director of Liber Academy, who told him that Hijiri was still alive and was her organization's trump card in eliminating him, so he asked her to take care of her until the time they met again. The headmistress scoffed at his belief that he could save the girl who would cause his death and told him before she left that she would turn her into a perfect weapon against the Demon King. He turned to the witches and asked them to continue to help him. The next day, Arata sat absent-mindedly thinking about what had happened and what he needed to do to save Hijiri until Lilith interrupted his thoughts and asked him to accompany her somewhere. Then he was surprised that she intended to take him to walk around the city and explore everything around him like a child. She told him that she wanted to take him for a walk around the city since he hadn't been here since he moved to this world, and when she asked him where he wanted to go, he said that he never thought about wanting to visit a particular place and expressed his desire to return the favor to her since she was the one who took care of him since he came to the world. She felt embarrassed and told him that it was her duty to take care of him as his teacher. Then it occurred to her to invite him to have lunch together. In the meantime, the other witches were watching them from afar, and when they went to the restaurant, Mira was surprised by their arrival and felt embarrassed that Arata Arata saw her in her uniform as she works as a waitress in the restaurant. Then he found out that Akio was cooking the food and surprised him by offering him various types of food for free since it was his first visit, and Arata and Lilith spent their time hiking and trying many things together. In the evening, Arata thanked her for trying to cheer him up because of what happened with Hijiri and wondered how he could repay her for everything she does for him. So she took his hand and expressed her gratitude for his sincere feelings and told him that he treated everyone as friends despite being a demon king with immense powers. So she trusted that everyone loved him from the bottom of their hearts. He felt embarrassed by her compliments, and suddenly it occurred to him to give her something. He asked her to close her eyes, and she blushed and thought he was going to kiss her, but she was soon disappointed when she saw that he wanted to give her an amulet he bought from a store and told her that it was anti-magic to protect her. He told her that even though he knew she was a powerful witch, he didn't want to see her get hurt by enemies and wanted her to stay by his side and continue to be the magic teacher who took good care of him, and she felt grateful and promised to keep his amulet forever. Lilith realizes that they have been watching them all this time and tries to explain to them that there is no suspicious relationship between them, while Arata suggests that they all go to dinner together at Mira and Akio's restaurant. On their way, Arata realizes that he is happy with his new life and asks Hijiri to wait until he comes to rescue him and reunite with her again someday.